Okay, joining us on the broadcast this evening, we have two distinguished panelists, Padma Bhushan, Dr. Ashok Seth, Chairman of Fortis, Escorts, Heart Institute and Head of Cardiology, Council of Fortis Group of Hospitals. Thank you, Doctor. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this Sunday evening. In a few minutes from now, we will also have Dr. Arvinder Singh Soin, Padma Shri and Chairman of Medanta Institute of Liver Transplantation, joining us. But first up, to you first, Dr. Seth, what do you make of this emerging situation where, of course, that is, when I say we mean the country and the government taking it very seriously. We are now hearing, and that's the breaking news update this evening, that they're going to review the international travel, which was going to normalize soon. What do you make of the situation first up, and how serious is it?
So clearly, the situation of this new variant is of concern. While the variant has not come into the country, we have to be cautious. While there should be no panic, proactive measures have to be taken, and very stringent proactive measures have to be taken, going by our past experience of the Delta virus. We know that this virus has more mutations than the Delta virus, and that is the real cause of concern, and that is why it did not even get into the category of variant of interest. It straight away moved to the category of a variant of concern. I'm actually very happy that very specific and stringent measures have been taken by our policymakers, by the government, by our experts, and by our states in a close coordination. At least we need to know what happens over the next few days. And by the way, it's an evolving situation. So what stands today would be, we would be more knowledgeable tomorrow and the day after. In the subsequent couple of weeks, we will be more knowledgeable to understand whether we need to be hitting this hard, but preparations have to be in place. Scrutiny has to be in place. Surveillance and genomic sequences have to be ramped up. And clearly, whatever measures have been taken for the travelers to have RT-PCR and genome sequencing are utmost important. Clusters have to be looked at. And by the way, our preparations for any such spurt, a wave, has to be revised, recognized, and at least be ready for what may or may not come. And let's not be panicked about it that we're going to see such a huge wave coming. There's absolutely no panic. The issue is, it's better to be proactive and prepared rather than repent later on just because we delayed our preparations.
Yeah, completely agree with you on that one. Dr. Arvinder Singh Soin also joining us live on this broadcast. Good evening, Dr. Soin, and thank you for joining us Sunday evening. We're on this broadcast because many people have questions, of course, and as we have learned from the second wave, you can't really let your guard down. And why is Omicron so dangerous, and why do we need to watch out? Of course, we're not trying to panic, but certainly we need to be aware.
See, the Omicron variant is of concern due to the fact that there are 32 mutations in the spike protein region, which means that it could be grounds for immune escape or escape from vaccine immunity and enhanced transmission. However, this is not proven. This is just a fear, okay? And I think it's okay to be cautious. It's better to be safe than sorry. In fact, the countries in which the Omicron variant has been found, that's South Africa, Zimbabwe, Hong Kong, etc., they've actually not had any surges of late. There are mild cases there, which are with mild fatigue and muscle aches. So there's not that much of sickness with it. There's not that much of number with it. But this is a new variant which has a lot of mutations, and potentially it is risky. So it is better to watch out. We will know for sure, probably in the next 2-3 weeks, once we follow the disease patterns with this variant.
Yeah. So also, telling all our viewers joining us on the broadcast that the lines are open. You can ask your questions to Dr. Ashok Seth or Dr. Arvinder Soin. The numbers are on your screen. So while we do that and line up a few of our viewers on the phone line, Dr. Seth, what is your view on the travel restrictions? Because some countries have taken some drastic measures. For example, Israel has completely shut its doors to any foreigners traveling into the country. Many countries taking steps to ensure that the high-risk nations, nobody is allowed inside. What's your view? What's the medical view on a situation like this?
So it's an evolving situation, and every country tries to understand the circumstances as it suits best at that period of time. There's no question that we've called these countries at risk and are clearly having good surveillance and scrutiny on every passenger coming from Africa. We must also remember that Europe is in the middle of huge surges of COVID from the Delta virus already. And we all recognize the fact that their hospitals are getting flooded. The last thing they would want is another virus coming in and therefore really creating a situation. By the way, it's still this virus, just like Dr. Soin mentioned, it's a potential issue with this virus. It's not proven whether it's going to be more infective, whether it's going to cause serious issues, whether it's going to bypass immunity. These are all potential issues. But I'm sure that these steps are taken, and I would say that for a moment, our country has taken appropriate stuff of great scrutiny. It's an evolving situation. It is possible that in 3 days, we may actually say, let's just stop passengers, but the government is doing its job very efficiently at this moment. And I would actually say to everybody that with the Prime Minister who's taken a stock of the situation at the helm of the affairs, I think we should feel safe with every policy that's being instituted by the government in this issue.
Yeah, correct. I agree with you on that one. And on the ongoing debate, Dr. Soin, of whether or not a booster shot is needed, just trying to weigh in, because some of the queries that we received earlier today were revolving around the booster shot and whether that's because even the government has indicated that it could look at this issue closely. Where do you stand on that one?
And I'm pretty clear. Just like Dr. Seth pointed out, the European surge is actually much more worrying at the moment than the Omicron variant itself, because that's an unknown beast. We haven't really proven its danger yet. So the European surge is happening because the immunity among the Europeans who've been either fully vaccinated or have been infected in the past is waning. And that's where we need to take cues. If there is a surge in Europe, it's going to happen in India when our immunity wanes. And that's why what we can do is doubly vaccinate ourselves or vaccinate all the adults and now even children who haven't been vaccinated fully, and seriously consider boosters for people who are at high risk of having infection, specifically the older and the debilitated individuals or those with comorbidity and healthcare personnel. So we should definitely start thinking of boosters if we have the vaccine stock. But the first priority has to be to fully vaccinate all adults and start vaccinating children in large numbers.
Okay, we have some breaking news and also a few viewers on the line with us. The breaking news update is that Dutch Health Institute has confirmed 13 cases of Omicron variant among travelers who arrived from South Africa. Okay, so that's the breaking news update. And let me also get in Rajalakshmi calling us in from Chennai this evening. Good evening, Rajalakshmi. Go ahead.
Good evening. Doctor, I would like to know, now that our schools have all opened, we have been working for the past 2 months, and the board exams are due now, that is in the coming next 2-3 days. Now, since students are going to write board exam, how safe it would be for us to send the students to school also? We have children going from our home also. Will it take some time for this Omicron to get spread, or we just have to take all precautions and go ahead? Thank you, Doctor.
So, should we address that? Yes, I'm happy to address that. And let me just say that your first and biggest defense to any spread is your COVID appropriate behavior, which is very important even for for children who are, say, 10 to 16 years of age. Masking is an important aspect, and most schools have actually maintained situations which are actually appropriate to the COVID circumstances. Education has to happen in schools, by the way. Unfortunately, the children have been too long a time away from schools, which has hampered the education. It cannot continue on and on. That's the first point. The second point is, yes, the elder children can actually follow COVID appropriate behavior, which still remains our most biggest, clearly the strongest defense that we have. And finally, we have to understand that yes, government is considering this very issue about vaccination in children. You read this every day. The issue really is for you all to understand is that in children, and that has been seen till now and even in the West, the disease process is usually not very severe, at least with the previous strains of the virus. And then in children, we've got to weigh the risk of vaccination very closely versus the risk of delaying vaccination till adults are vaccinated. Now that balance is the fine balance which the government and the experts are looking at. And I'm sure that in the next couple of weeks, the experts will actually talk about it. It will come into position. Till that time, I think just follow the COVID appropriate behavior, go to school and not worry. By the way, Omicron is not here at the moment. There are no concerns, and there's a huge scrutiny on every testing which has happened. So we should not be worrying. As far as we know, there's no Omicron entered into the system. And we don't know whether it causes serious illnesses or whether it's more virulent. Those are speculations based on the way it has mutated. That's all we can say at the moment.
Okay, let's take our second viewer calling in, Dr. Madharaj from Bengaluru. Dr. Madharaj, go ahead.
Yeah, sir, doctor, I just want to know that this particular virus, I mean, whatever jabs we are taken right now, may not, in fact, help us in evading this Omicron virus. So, and already we are hearing that there are a few passengers, 2 passengers who have come from South Africa. They have entered Bangalore. That's what it has come into public TV right now. So we are having a lot of fear now. So already we have gone through all these things now. And again, suddenly I think of this Omicron coming. And what will be your take on this, doctor?
Dr. Soin, you want to take that?
Okay, I'll take that. So first of all, let's be very clear. We don't know if Omicron is much more dangerous, if it can actually escape vaccines. So just for the fear of the fact that the travelers that have come in from South Africa may have Omicron, and Omicron may escape vaccines, is not a good enough reason not to take the vaccine. So you must doubly vaccinate. Everyone must doubly vaccinate people who are eligible at this point in time, adults. And of course, I may also add that the spike protein has literally hundreds of thousands of genes. Only 32 have mutated. So it is quite possible that the existing vaccines actually do have effect against the Omicron virus or variant. And even if the effect is not as good as the original strains, it is still likely to protect against severe disease and death. So I have no doubt in my mind that vaccine is all we have, COVID-appropriate behavior is all we have, and we must embrace both.
Okay, thank you for that response. Let's see who's, okay, Ved is calling in from Washim. Ved, are you there? Okay, just lost the line with Ved there. But I think the situation that we find ourselves in, once again, Dr. Seth, just, you know, the broad picture of why we shouldn't let our guard down, especially at a time when we are almost completely opening up. I think Ved is back on the line. If you don't mind, I'll take that question and you can perhaps take that from the viewer. Ved, go ahead. What's your question?
Good evening, Niranjan sir. My question to doctors is about the flight cancellations. The flights are not being cancelled from South Africa. So the question that I want to put to the doctors is about the children too, because there might be children coming from South Africa to India. What about the children? What about the virus that may go on the children? And how vaccination is important about this Omicron virus?
Some of it was answered by Dr. Soin just now, and some of it was answered by my previous answer. But just let me put everybody at peace. Don't panic so much. You know, you're almost seeing as if you've suddenly, just because we heard of Omicron, everybody's believing that it's around us. You have to understand that there's a lot of scrutiny going on directly from the government itself and under the absolute direct supervision of our Prime Minister. So this is not going to be an issue which is being taken lightly by the government. So you should not be so concerned that suddenly you're going to actually meet Omicron somewhere in the community. The important aspect for all of us to understand, and I again emphasize the fact that mask, it's all in our own hands. I mean, if we actually mask properly, appropriately, and we're double masking out into the community, we will have a 98% chance of not catching the virus. Any form of variant. Variants are going to come. This is not the first variant we've seen. We've seen multiple variants in the past. And by the way, even if this does not come to our country, we will see every month a discussion on new variants happening. That happens with our flu virus every year. The issue is whether we'll get mild illnesses versus serious illnesses. And the issue is that at the moment, our masks and double vaccination are going to protect us. So we are not looking for protection from anybody else, apart from saying it's in our hands. This social distancing, double masking with a cloth and a surgical mask or an N95 mask protects us efficiently against any mutation of the coronavirus.
Thank you for that, Dr. Seth. Last question to Dr. Soin. Dr. Soin, let me put that question to you as we come to an end to this part of the broadcast. Just to reiterate the importance of keeping your guard up at a time when we're completely opening up.
So, absolutely, that's absolutely essential. We must avoid all crowds, and we must continue with masking and social distancing. We must get fully vaccinated. And I think the travel bans that the government is doing are really inevitable. I mean, obviously, if you have a potentially dangerous variant somewhere, even though it's not proven, it is better to put a travel ban and then open it up quickly once the danger clears or the cloud clears. So I think we have to be on guard. And COVID is definitely not over. In fact, it's probably never going to be over, in the sense that it's going to go endemic. We're going to live with it. We're going to have different variants. We're probably going to have vaccination every year. So that's something we have to get used to. But until we figure out the nature of the beast completely, we have to be on guard and observe COVID-appropriate behavior and vaccinate.
Yeah. Dr. Seth, you want to add to that, and then we'll end the broadcast.
No, I think that is the message that we really got to give. We wear a shirt and a trouser when we go out. Now our third is a mask on our face. We don't take our shirt and trousers out in the community when we go out. We don't take the mask out. In fact, we may even take the shirt off, but we don't take the mask off any further as we go out. So I think those are the important messages that people still have to live with and do it for the next few months.
Yeah.
It's a timely reminder, I would say.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Seth and Dr. Soin, for joining us Sunday evening. And I think the biggest message also is don't panic. Don't panic. Because, some of the callers also in a state of panic, saying, okay, it's already here. No, it's not. Just got to stay calm and be on our guard. Thank you, Dr. Soin and Dr. Seth.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thanks.